Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one, the only ICP. We are going to be updating you guys frequently on this crypto, so make sure to subscribe. We also will be doing news related stuff regarding ICP. Just a lot has been happening in terms of price action in recent times. We can see we're ranked 33 out of 9,289 active crypto. So we can see, right? We shot up a lot in rank. We have come down just a little bit, but overall, we are looking very, very solid. Say what you want about ICP, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why it has the ranking it has, and there will be a reason why it's going to pump this altcoin season the way it's going to pump. Over the last month, it is up roughly 105%. In the last week, it is up almost 70%. And in the last day, it is down 11%. Okay. We can see there's also a lot of volume, right? I remember at one point people used to tell me, there's a little bit of volume concerns. Now, not necessarily this week, but prior, before this big pump. And we can see, even, even here, we were averaging sometimes hundreds of millions of volume. I know we're a multi-billion market cap coin. So some people might say, well, that's still not the best of ratios, but this is still decent volume when things were kind of going down and sideways, right? We could see we're consistent in the kind of like the low hundreds of millions. Sometimes we hit 55 millions, here at 60s, the 70s. And when we continue to go, you can see it's fairly solid, right? Especially for, especially if it's just going sideways, like kind of flatlining, getting that 50 to 70 million volume is actually really, really good. So we can see boom, 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 boom. But then you notice, right? Kind of when we start reversing, look at the volume increase. It was dramatic, right? We kind of went from like the 50 to 70 million to all of a sudden to a 200 million, mid 200 millions, 300 million, 400 million, 500 million, 700 million. Look at that, into the billions, right? 1.5 billion, 1.4, a couple hundred million again. And we can see just how much volume we've had. There's even potentially a day where we've had 2 billion in volume. I may have just missed it, but we had upwards of 2 billion in volume consistently over the last several days. So volume concerns from the past have been debunked because when it's time to go, it's time to go. And you can see how much money was flooded into ICP in recent times. Now, let's talk about the recent price action. Okay, let's talk about the recent price action. When we go and look at something like this, the weekly candles, we can see, actually, if we go to the daily, we can kind of see that pretty much ever since the 1st until the 8th, we have been consistently rising. Well, okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. I will make sure to check this out. Not really, but get out of here. But yeah, we can see, right? From the 1st to the 8th, we have been consistently pumping. When we go and look at the 4-hour chart, we were consistently creating higher and higher lows, right? We talked about this before. Boom, right? We have a low, we have a high, we have a higher low, we have a higher high. Boom, consistently, right? Consistently created a boom, 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 boom. And then you can see we actually started to create a lower high in recent times over here. Boom. And then we had this big breakthrough. For me, this was a massive 4-hour confirmation because we haven't really had that type of selling pressure anywhere else previously, right? You could debate this was kind of similar, but for me, this was much bigger, especially this also had multiple 4-hour rejection candles. When we also go look at it from a trend point standpoint, right? Boom, we do something like this, keep it quite kind of narrow, the way it's supposed to be. There we go. You can see, right? Perfectly breaks out here. So we had 2 confirmations already. We had lower highs than this high. And then when we smashed through, we changed the structure here. We took out this low. And then we can see ever since here, we were really struggling with price. And now we're continuing to go lower. So the question is, where's ICP going to go next? Well, for me, if there is going to be a bounce up, which usually there is some type of bounce up, there's 2 options. One around the 6.30 to $6 zone right over here, right? Because we do have a nice support over here being formed. Or if we do something like this, I wouldn't, you could kind of count this. This is the one I wanted to do. Actually, it's the one I saw earlier. I was doing boom, right? So there are two possibilities, right? The two trend lines aligning up. You could be making something like this, right? Where we could give more confirmation for the $6 bounce. We could potentially see a little bit of a lower dip, right? Depending sometimes how aggressive cryptos like to pull back, we could be going into this zone right over here. So downwards of 540, right? Boom. Very, very nice. But generally, we can see somewhere around this area is when we should start to reverse. Now, you might think, well, why did I give you two zones? Because these are just zones we'd be looking at and monitoring in the moment once we would like tap into them, right? If you're a trader, you usually don't try to go into things blindly. I mean, you could, right? Hypothetically, if you're looking at long positions, you could do something like this, right? If you're, I don't know, trying to go back to these highs, but usually you don't want to go in blindly. But since obviously I can't be giving you live updates consistently, these are just two general zones I'll be looking out for, right? Roughly the 620 and a little bit lower of the 530, 520. Okay. Let's see. When we go to something like the weekly, boom, right? We do have liquidity up here. Now, I'm not sure. Last time we speculated that there would most likely be a sell off on Monday. We did actually surprisingly get the sell off on a Sunday, right? Because I was expecting for the market makers to tap into this liquidity up here, right? Take it out and then go lower. But sometimes that's just not the case, and it is what it is. But overall, I still expect some type of pullback, even if we go back down to, let's say, like I said, 550 area and come back here. We do have a nice daily zone here at 850. So, yeah, things are looking solid. Things are looking good overall. We are correcting right now, which is normal, right? You have to realize we did pump a drastic amount. We went up, 233%, a little bit more actually. So yeah, and during the times where the market conditions are not even the best, right? They're not even the most green. We see a little bit more green today, but generally speaking, they're not anything wow right now. So it's not like it happened during the prime of altcoin season. Because if this is the prime of altcoin season, there's a very high chance that we kind of just pull back very short term and just continue to skyrocket, right? We will be monitoring to see how the monthly candle closes this month. It should probably close decently. I'm not even going to lie. It should probably close decently. I'm looking for this bigger bounce back, going backwards or going back all the way from like $5 to even like 370, right? At one point, it might not even happen in November or December. This might be like a January play just to tap into the order block, right? Eventually tap into the order block, tap off this big support, and then eventually, boom, get that confirmation, create another higher low, right? Because we have a low here, and then boom, come back here, create another higher low, and then kind of go forward. Overall, I'm still super high on ICP. It's technology, it's community. I also forgot the exact amount that's staked, but there's a very large percentage of ICP staked for the next couple of years, which obviously does help with price. And yeah, I mean, yeah. So look, when we go and look at the chart, when we go look at it from a pure technical analysis standpoint, I truly do believe there's 3 points we'll be hitting. The more euphoria side is upwards of 140, right? Taking out this zone, this would be literally the last monthly relevant zone to be taking out. If we go on the weekly, right, you could debate, 165. Boom, there's another zone here. But these are like the last relevant zones. So if market makers do want to take this out, they obviously can. Like I said, it's not guaranteed. Then we have this liquidity of $86. That's where I would be looking for it to get possibly swept. Plus, we have a nice weekly institutional candle, pretty much one of the only relevant institutional candles right now. Right, boom, there you go. Very, very nice. And then, yeah, on the lower end, we have this support resistance, also another little institutional candle here. So low end, still biased $30, $30. Higher end, realistic end, for me, 70 to 80, 70 to $90, I would say. And then, of course, the more euphoria prices are 140 and 160. That is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.